Hey YouTube, James here. So this is a 3040 CNC machine. I purchased it off eBay, like many people probably do. I don't know where else you would get it. Now in Canadian, it was just about like 800 and some odd dollars, $900, something like that. I had to pay, I think, a little bit extra, something for duties maybe, and it shipped from China, so I can't complain. So, really, the reason that I bought the 3040 CNC machine was because not only was it the cheapest, but in all reality, a large format kind of machine would be, it would take longer to do the larger projects. It would, it would make more of a mess. It would take up more of an area. And all the things that I really want to do are not really like giant. Like I'm not making huge things that are gonna take like a week to mill away. Some of the I'm a little bit impatient when it comes to working on something. I don't want to spend a whole week working on something that might be botched, right? I want to pump out small things and then have it all successfully combined together to be one grander kind of project. So it's kind of my methodology for building something. Like really, it was just the time scale, the price, the ease of actually having something this small, it was pure convenience, 100% convenience. I would love to have a larger, like 4 foot by 8 foot CNC machine. Even just a CNC router. It would be great to have one strong enough to mill aluminum. Essentially, I kind of bought this as a stepping stone along my way to building my own CNC plasma cutter. So I already have the plasma cutter. I just need to make the actual just the actual frame. I have the motors, I have the controller. It's really, I just am biding my time. This is kind of an experiment. Kind of experiment that, you gotta pay a fair bit for, but the product. My mind is blown. So it's basically solid half-inch aluminum. Like this here's solid half-inch. This here's solid half-inch. So it has not like the thickest angle iron, or sorry, angle aluminum. And then the T-track here, it isn't the best in the world. Like, could be better, could be deeper, could be thicker notches and stuff. But for what it is, I bet I could buy replacements off eBay dirt cheap if I needed to. So that's pretty cool. What really blew my mind with this is it actually has the 20 millimeter unsupported linear rails, and I mean I wish they were supported. A little bit more support doesn't help, or I mean it doesn't hurt, but as it is, having 20 millimeter rails on something this small with that short of a span, that is rigid, like super rigid, like way more rigid than what you would expect for an eBay CNC machine. So not only that, but all three of the linear screws on here are ball screws. So this is the ball screw frame. Like these things are going for like $1,600 on eBay. Just the damn frame is like usually $500. Nothing else. Just the frame. I think you get the ball screws with it or something, if you're lucky. The other options are like Acme threaded rod with the trapezoid style teeth on it and stuff. And then not only that, but it has larger. The bearings on it are pretty decent. They're not you know, they're Chinese bearings, so hey, you know, pretty decent for Chinese. Um, Stepper motors could be bigger. I actually have bigger stepper motors, but I just didn't feel like wiring them up onto this because they're intended for my larger project. So this here, this dust shoe, I'm not going to zoom in on it. It's nothing fancy. It looks way better from this far away. Haha, believe me. But this is made from a snow brush. There's like one of those Canadian Tire T style snow brushes that folds down, and then when you pull the handle, it goes, and then it's a T. So that's where all these bristles came from. I took a chunk of 1/4-inch aluminum, uh, cut it down to size. I actually used this machine to cut out, to round out the holes for this. It was like I could use a hole saw for most of it, but when I got down to this oblong nozzle fitting that I wanted to use, which I scavenged off of just a crappy vacuum cleaner that I had, it you know, it took a little bit of work, but I used the end mill, 6mm end mill to round it out, and it worked quite well. So that was, I actually was holding the material. Now this is really, really stupid. Don't do it yourself, kids, folks. You know, you don't want to have your 6mm end mill up to full speed when you're holding on to the aluminum that you're trying to round. I was taking a risk, but it, you know, mission accomplished. So I didn't get hurt, but I could have probably like lost a finger, right? Like maybe. You never know what could happen, right? It's a lot more powerful than it looks. I hope the angle between the camera and me isn't too impersonal. I don't know. Do you like to be looked at? Do I gotta stare deep into your eyes? I don't. I don't know. I think this is something that I will learn a little bit more of as I make more videos, and I'll grow more comfortable with this. But that's besides the point. Getting back to the actual matter here, this spindle, this came with a 230 watt spindle, and I bought a 500 watt spindle to replace it with. The control box is down here. You can kind of see it. That's the 500 watt spindle fired up. It's much quieter than the 230 watt spindle. The reason being is that the 230 watt spindle didn't have as many windings that were as close together, and then the magnets in it probably, they didn't have as many different north and south domains spread around. So what the original magnet had was a kind of cogging effect. So when it wasn't powered up and you turned the DC motor, you could feel it cog between the windings. Or actually, it was more like the armature, the metal in the armature was locating onto the magnetic positions inside. So as it would spin, you would get that humming. Cool face right there. So the 500 watt spindle, a lot more power. I think it has a lot more positions within it when it spins up, you know, like it definitely is much quieter. This unit actually, while I'm on this kind of path here, was, so it was 220 watt or whatever. That's what it was set up for. It's 220 watts. So at first, what I was doing is I was doing, you know, I was jimmy rigging up some power for it and running it at full power. I could plug it into a 110 outlet, but it didn't have enough power to actually power the spindle and everything else all at once. So it had to have the full power. So that I didn't like because I wanted a 110 unit. And so essentially what I ended up doing was when I got this new spindle in, it came with its own power supply and speed controller. And then the power for the actual board that this runs off of is 24 volts. So I took the control box apart. I pulled out the old spindle controller. I threw it away. I pulled out this big honking transformer that was in there. I didn't actually throw these things away, but you know, metaphorically, I threw it away. And that basically the 24 volt power supply that I replaced it with was 110, so that gives me all the power I need. And then the spindle is on a separate power supply, so both power supplies are drawing from 110. Plenty enough power, right? No screwing around with this 200 what actually the power I was giving it was more along the lines of 240 volts. That's what my multimeter said. So I'm not an electrician, but it worked. So I consider those kind of upgrades because yeah, it had some, like, I'm still not really too pleased about the control board itself. It's like it's a Planet CNC ripoff as far as I can tell, and the software that I'm running this off of is USB CNC controller, which is also, I believe, through Planet CNC, and they sent me, like, don't tell anyone, but it's pirated. Yeah. So to really upgrade this, what I would have to do now, and I don't necessarily consider it an upgrade because it works pretty damn good right now, but what could be done is I could switch out the control board in this with Arduino. I already have it. I'm pretty sure the drivers that I have would work for this just fine. The only thing is that I'd have to use a G-code sender and all that, and it's like, I guess there's like chili pepper online and all that. There's different stuff for the Arduino, but really, like, you can't, obviously I'm not going to zoom in or anything to get a better picture of this, but you know, it's not Mach 3, but I have everything that Mach 3 can do, pretty much, you know. It's a yeah, getting Mach 3, they sent, like, I think a pirated version of that too, so I just didn't want to fool around with it because Mach 3 isn't quite as user friendly as what this USB controller one seems to be. And I think the USB plug, because the board inside the controller here has the LPT port or whatever, and then it plugs into that, and it has a converter that takes it down. So it's the same thing as the regular one, but I'm not even sure what the actual software is interacting with. Like, either the software is only interacting with the USB adapter, I guess you can call it. Yeah, the control board really has to be doing a lot of the heavy lifting there, so it's got to be working through there. Anyways, back to the matter at hand once again. So this is kind of upgraded. I built this, and, like, very rigid, very rigid. It's kind of slow. That's 147 inches per minute. So I have a styrofoam box that I put over this. It's actually an expanded poly polystyrene, 2 layers thick, and it just goes right over top and kind of seals against the table here. Cuts down on a lot of the whining and stuff coming off the bit. The spindle's not too noisy. This is, I made a, you can't really see, but I got a, kind of like a 30-gallon barrel or something that I put a bucket head shot back inside of. And the junky vacuum cleaner that this came off of happened to have a HEPA filter. And the HEPA filter fits inside onto the nozzle, like the suction nozzle inside the bucket head vacuum, so it's now HEPA filter. That's very nice. And then I got holes in the top of this bucket or barrel. It's a plastic drum. I'm not sure what size it is or what its proper name is, but essentially I'm using it as a sound deadening device. I got the inside lined with some acoustic batting and a couple layers on top and stuff. It seems to not heat up too terribly much. I haven't ran it long enough to really test it out that much. But I haven't even used this dust shoe yet. I wish it was removable, like easily just clip on, clip off, but it's not. It's kind of a pain in the arse to get removed from here because it has 4 screws fastening them onto the bottom of the spindle. But what it does, kind of, I think, is gives it a little bit more rigidity and like a. Now this is just a hypothesis. I haven't tested it or anything, but I believe that it is almost like a harmonic dampener. So when the spindle gets resonating or whatever, this will absorb it. I might have to put like a layer of like rubber or something between it and the face of, or like some sort of gasket material, so that it doesn't rattle against the spindle or something. I haven't really tested it out, but other than that, the vacuum hose it's fairly stretchy and it's a small area, so I'm not worried about it. However it decides to go, I'm sure it's going to work out quite well. This isn't even really fastened on here. It just pressure fits into the hole nicely. So when I change the bits, I can kind of get a sight through the hole. I know a lot of people, they like to have a little bit more convenience when it comes to that stage of the game, right? You don't want to spend 5 minutes fighting with something that you can't see. Of course, it shouldn't take you 5 minutes or whatever, right? Yeah, so as far as results, like if you get one of these yourself, you definitely are going to want to go onto eBay, and pretty much at the same time you buy this, you're going to want to buy yourself a bunch of bits. And so this is going to come with an ER11 chuck. And I think that basically means it can go, I don't know, up to like 11. Well, no, the ER11 goes up to 8mm, I think. Maybe it's 7 mil, I don't know. But it takes little collets like this. Doesn't want to focus. No. Well, you got a good enough view of that anyways. So really what the game plan is I have a 6mm end mill in here, and that's going to be what I use for roughing pass. So it's going to go over top of my material, and it's going to rough everything out. And then I'm going to take one of these tiny little doodads. Here, maybe I can just show you a little closer. Still kind of blurry, but yeah. So that's a 2mm ball end mill. Actually, I should measure it to be exact. 2mm is just a little bit smaller than 1/8. I think it's 1mm smaller than 1/8 or something. I'm pretty sure 1/8 is 3mm. But I didn't order my bits at the same time. So I had to run around trying to find some because it was taking weeks and weeks to get more bits in after I ordered them. I'm still waiting for bits. But I managed to find some local supplies. And I got a 1/8 end mill, but it was a weird one. I don't know if I have it here to show you. It's buried in the bottom, the little tiny container. So this is the one I could find. And it's not the best because it doesn't give you the depth, like the taper. You need a tapered edge, right? So that's where I downsized these smaller ones. Because it's only for finishing. That bigger one, I might be able to use it for, I don't know, like it's a pretty tough bit. So what I first accomplished basically was, now I don't know if I got that upside down here. Yeah, that looks a little better. Yeah, so you can see the dragon's head here, and then you can follow along the body, and like it's pretty good detail. Now you can see where I actually took a torch to it because I wanted to give it more of an organic, rounded look. So what I do is I hit it with a torch just real quickly, takes off all sorts of stuff, like little bits of fuzz and stuff. And then I take a wire brush or a toothbrush or whatever, a little file, and I just kind of shape everything just so it looks real good. This didn't turn out 100% because I used this weird shaped bit. And what happened is this, like, if you follow along, I don't know if you can quite see it as well as I would like you, but when this has to reach all the way down to the bottom here, it might be on such a steep angle that it doesn't have enough clearance to clear that little step on the side. So what happens is that little step does damage. It's called, I guess, it can be called chip out, I suppose. It's not real chip out because you get like real. That's what kind of this burning does too. Is if you have little bits of chip out on the very fine edges, then it will help to round it and blend it in, everything nice and smooth. So this, believe it or not, I'm sitting here talking like I'm a pro or something, but this is my first actual 3D relief, and all I did was just found a grayscale, popped it in, and you know, did a roughing pass, did a finishing pass, and this is the results. If I did a finishing pass with the 2mm instead, because this is a 1/8, so if I used the 2mm, then I would have got even better detail, and I wouldn't have got any chip out. I can't really show you all the places, but I might be able to zoom in on one spot in particular here. Yeah, I don't think I'll be able to get the image that I want to show you guys, but it did a little bit of collateral damage, we can call it. So this is pretty darn good. This is Knotty Pine. I have played around with some mahogany. It works great on mahogany. This piece here, I still am going to finish up these edges here, round them out, make it all a nice even profile. And this is actually, like, I spent a lot of the time. Like, this was probably 31 hours, I think. Yeah, 31 hours, and I'm still doing finishing work on it. Not like, I'm not dedicated, like, putting in 8 hours a day working on it. More just, like, fiddling around with it. It's fun. So, there's not much point showing any of the other stuff that I've fiddled around with, because they're mostly just engravings. And, well, let's see. What do we got here? Okay, so this is a Legend of Zelda engraving. You can see, now you kind of gotta like, it's like an I Spy game. Give you guys a minute to see what you can see. And I'm gonna point out some stuff here, which might not be quite evident to you guys. So obviously, the first thing you can see here is the Triforce and the Hylian crest. Awesome, looks great, right? You might not be able to tell it for what it is, but this is an image of Majora's Mask. Fair bit of chip out. This was actually, yeah, it didn't quite go as well as I had hoped, but maybe you can see Princess Zelda. Huh? There's her little nose right there and her little eye. And right over here we have Link. And then right down here we have Navi with her little wings. Another kind of like a Triforce piece or something there. We've got like a horse up here. Looks pretty good. All in all, for an engraving on mahogany, from a distance, this looks pretty good. Like, there's my dog making all sorts of noise in the background. Yeah, so engraving, that's pretty cool. That was the first kind of thing I was fooling around with. But what I really wanted was 3D relief. So I want to be able to take that engraving and I want to make a 3D relief of it instead. So I've been working on that. It takes, you end up getting something that's going to take you like 72 hours to work on. It's like, I think I'll pass. 72 hours, that seems like a long time to be waiting for something and it's going like it's humming and yeah, I don't know. Give you guys a shot of what this sounds like all running comparative to my voice, I guess. So what I'll do first is I'll fire up the spindle. Well, that's not too bad. I'll turn on the vacuum. If I can find the on switch here. Pretty noisy. So that's basically the volume that I would be listening to. It's pretty quiet, really. Like you can't quite hear it in like the living room or anything. Um, when it's running and chewing away at stuff, I'm sure it would be a lot noisier. Yeah, you can barely just hear the spindle running. Like, if you can listen to the resonance, kind of. Full speed, it's quiet. As soon as you start to slow it down, it'll hit like a speed where it vibrates the most. Probably right about there. Or there. That's pretty loud. Yeah. It's pretty quiet. That's box I don't really like, but I mean my ears sure love it. It's basically what I would consider a necessary evil at the moment. Um, I wouldn't mind having a better enclosure. So if you get your own CNC machine like this, you might want to make sure that it has kind of a plan in your home, a place to call its own, uh, somewhere maybe in your garage where you can build a nice enclosure with doors that open up, or maybe something that lifts up. I collect all sorts of junk, and I happen to disassemble like a photocopier one time, and the hinges are like spring loaded to open it, like spring loaded hinge. So it'd be kind of cool to have like a lid that could lift up, and it would have, you know, you wouldn't be like lifting up like a heavy awkward weight or something. I mean, it would have to be pretty darn heavy before it was a real pain, but for something this small, I just don't see it being that big of an issue. So the hold down devices for this are just like these clean all this off here. Yeah, so what they are is just a square nut, and yeah, these came with it. I mean, they work good. So far, so good. I also use a little bit of an avalanche here. Just dig out a couple so I can show you. I use these little shims. So what they have is, I don't know if you can kind of get it on the right angle. They have little teeth and they interlock. So when they're locked down, you can actually crank it up, and you can use it as a companion that can work with these hold down devices. So you put this on one edge, and then you can get a better angle for clamping your wood down. Quite helpful. I have a bunch of them that I use, precisely a pair for each. So I have a couple extras. You know, you wouldn't want to lose it and not be able to use it. So with that, I have to say I'm pretty pleased with this machine. I've said that before, I'm sure. But you know, 20 millimeter linear rails, ball screws, solid aluminum. I had to upgrade the controller and stuff. That's kind of like, yeah, it's not the best. But once it's upgraded, cat's ass, I'm telling you. Yeah, I'm pretty much gonna get set up to do a carving. The one that you can see on here, you can't tell what it is really, but it's a dragon. Dragons are just intricate enough to be an interesting project, and they're cool enough to appeal to other people. So might not want it for myself, but and I'm not, you know, talking about like breaching copyright or anything like that, but if you go to the store and you buy a picture, a painting, any painting, doesn't matter, you buy it, it's your possession. Once you own it, you can sell it privately for as much as you want. You don't have to be the one that made the thing that somebody else has a copyright on. Like, you don't have to be like if I said this is my artwork, right? No. But if I'm selling some artwork, then yeah, I can sell this. It's a freaking carving that I had on my wall, and now if somebody wants to give me $50 for it, it's theirs. Am I marketing it? Am I claiming it to be my product? No. Is it my possession? Yes. Can I sell my possession? Yes. Can I sell other people's products as if they're my products? No. No, I can't. Can I sell my time? Yes. If somebody wanted me to make this, if somebody wanted me to make anything, like anything at all, like a trademark logo, I'm getting paid for my time. That's it. Um, um, yeah, I don't know. That's my little view on it. I'm sure everyone will have their own arguments about it, or ooh, I'm evil, or I'm a thief. But if you're claiming something is your own when it's not, then that is wrong. If you are selling something, that is a totally different ballgame. Um, the the copyright on this really is like commercial. Like private sales are not commercial, so I'm not going to be selling these commercially or anything. Uh, the most I'd probably do is throw it up on a buy and sell with a bunch of other shit, just random art, whatever. Yeah, but eventually, what I wouldn't mind doing is uh, being more uh, in like 3D reliefs are cool. They're a good application for this, but essentially, what I wouldn't mind is having more of a setup to make parts because I want to make like aluminum brackets and stuff. So if this thing can do aluminum, then I'm going to be quite happy with it because I'm going to be able to make all sorts of things that I need, components for my other machine, and then like just accurate drilling and stuff. Like things have to be spot on when you're making something, right? So even I have a couple 3D printers, even just to make a frame, aluminum frame for them. That would be awesome. I could take everything and swap it over, get some better linear rails and stuff. Yeah, and this actually arrived pretty prompt. Like they weren't messing around. It came in this big giant box, weighed probably 80 pounds or something. Uh, yeah, no, it's pretty cool. So that's my big long extended video, and kind of see the work area that I got set up for it. It's not the best work area, but it's pretty minimal. Like I literally have it on my desk. I drilled a few holes to run cables through, like this. The cables for this run through and then down to here. So I didn't want this set up here. Wireless keyboard and mouse for it. I'm running it on an old PC that's got like, I don't even know, like Windows. Maybe it has Windows 7. I don't know. Um, maybe it's Windows XP. It's on an old Dell Optiplex 760. It's an alright computer. I mean, it works. Dell's got some good products. So like the way I see it is, sure, I made that relief, and if somebody else had a copyright on it, then that's all well and good. But Dell has everything in this computer patented, and if I wanted to sell this computer, I can. So there's the limitations right there, right? Like, I'm not saying I designed this computer. This computer is my creation, and I have exclusive rights to it or whatever. Like, no, I don't need to. It's just a possession that I can get rid of. I don't know. When you get into 3D printing and stuff, a lot of things like copyright come into your mind. Like I made some keychains, like a Browning keychain, Oilers, Pittsburgh Penguins, hockey badges and stuff. Those are all trademarks, right? So can I sell those? Well, no. But can I make a keychain and then sell it for my time? Yeah, I'm selling my time. what I do with my time is it's more like a contractual thing, like a home builder doesn't need to have a copyright or a patent on your home to build you a home, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm just like obviously I'm not an expert on these issues, but there were a lot of issues coming up where people were taking 3D printed objects off of sites like Thingiverse, and they were selling them on eBay as if it was their own product. So that caused a lot of problems. And like if there was another guy, he was taking screenshots of those suicide girls' Instagram, and then he was blowing them up and selling them as his own artwork. And there was a big thing about him. And the thing was, is he actually got away with it because the recreation of that was a separate actual product. It wasn't the same. It was an Instagram picture of a picture. So as long as it was inside of that, so now this here, somebody might have the picture, but I'm the one that made it out of wood. This wood right here, this piece of wood. If I, did it out of something else, I think that might. But it's gray areas. There's a lot of gray areas, and I don't know. I really don't like the idea of profiting off of somebody else's work. And that's where I wouldn't sell something like that for $500, or I wouldn't try and milk people for as much money as possible. Although, it take me 31 hours to do. That's almost a fucking week of, almost a full week's paycheck right there. Although the machine did it, but I had to put up with the damn noise, and I'm the one that had to vacuum it and clean it up and set it up and buy this and do this and that and the other thing. So, yeah, I don't know. That doesn't really help my argument at all. But, I don't know, maybe one day, see now I don't see any, like I watched almost every video on YouTube about people doing this, and not one single person has really discussed anything like that. Like when you go and you find, oh, let's go on the internet, we'll find a picture, and then we'll take the picture into art. Oh, I never talked about the software I use. I use ArtCam Jewelsmith. It was recommended by a guy who also makes a lot of videos on YouTube. I believe his name, if I can find it here, he makes a lot of cool stuff. It's kind of, I don't want to be insulting or anything, but he's got an old-timer kind of appeal, like when he's sitting there explaining things to you, it's like wisdom of ages. Wish I could remember his name. Got YouTube going here. Let's see. We're just gonna look up 3D relief, and he should be like the first guy that pops up. Oh, there he is. Roger Webb. ROGERWEBB. You watch his videos, and he will have you set up. He will show you how to do things, all the finer there are some finer details that I think I could make a video on and explain a lot better. But for now, this Roger Webb guy, like, let's see here. It's like all the first videos are his. Okay, no, not quite, but almost all of them. Like, yeah, so first, second, third, fourth, sixth, seventh, 11th, 12th, like 12 videos, 13 videos. Yeah, he's got really good stuff. Like my presentation style here is kind of rough, right? But his is really nice. I enjoy watching his videos. So I highly recommend checking them out. I'm subscribed to them. I suggest that you subscribe to them if you're into this kind of thing. Um, if anything, it's just kind of just absorbs you into it, like watching how it all works. And he's got a way nicer machine. I think he actually sells them like high end. He seems to have a couple of videos where he's like self-marketing a bit. But yeah, that's the long and short of it. I think what I'll do is I'll go into a little bit more detail on the process of like taking a picture and generating CAD for this. So what I use is like you go like find a picture, a JPEG or a PNG or whatever, copy it, take it, or open it into open it or copy it into Inkscape. Inkscape is handy for resizing, so you can set the scale to inches or millimeters or pixels. I prefer inches, so I set it to inches. I scale it up. For some reason, it's always a bit small, so if like you want like 11 inches, then you gotta set it for like 14 inches. I'm not sure why. But then I take that, I spit it out as a PNG again or whatever, and then I open it as a bitmap into ArtCam JewelSmith. And then ArtCam, you can draw a vector around the image that you want. So it could be like square, zigzag, whatever. You can use a circle, and then ArtCam can convert that into a 3D relief, and then ArtCam can also calculate the tool paths. So you open up the section for tool paths or whatever, and you set like what your finishing pass is going to be, like a small 2mm ball nose. Then you set up what your roughing pass is going to be, and that's going to be 6mm or 1/4 inch end mill. And you get two separate G codes that you can save for each of those. And you literally just go down the list and you find the one. It saves it as like a TAP file, like .tap, but it's still G code. But you got to make sure you get your measurements, you know, determined. If you are using inches, then you got to spit out inch G code, and then when you import that G code, you know, you got to make sure that it's actually in inches, not millimeters. Like this thing here, when I send it 10 inches one way, 10 inches back, 10 inches one way, 10 inches back, it actually it's good enough that it retains its position. It doesn't lose steps or anything. I haven't noticed anything like that at all. And like having it run for 30 some odd hours straight, it hadn't had any issues. Yeah, so then you save it from ArtCam onto a USB stick, and then I take the USB stick, pop it in here. You can kind of see it right there, black on black. But open it up in the thing, and you got to position your machine so it lines up with the material that you're going to be working on, and Bob's your uncle. So if you stuck around and you watched this 48-minute video of me rambling on about everything I felt like rambling on about, then wow, you are an amazing person. I don't know what to say. Congratulations. Like, I wish I could give you a prize or something. Maybe one day, right? I'll make you something. You just say, hey, I watched almost an hour of that and wasted my life. That might hurt my feelings. Just say, dude, I love your video so much. Can you make me something? And maybe you'll get a prize out of it or something. I might, you know, mail it to you. No promises here, but you know, hey, stranger things happen, right? So, anyways, if you guys are interested in these CNC machines. I have watched like every single video on YouTube about them. Everything. So feel free to ask me anything about it. You know, I'm no computer programmer, so as far as that stuff goes, it's not really my forte. But when it comes to figuring things out, like you gotta at least be a little bit experienced with computers and how to find and achieve what you want to achieve, right? So if that means that you have to look at every tutorial on YouTube, then that's the kind of gumption that it takes to get something like this going. And it's really after you got the drive to do it, it's easy. Uh, so I hope I can contribute, and we can kind of work on some projects. This is what I want. I want something I can build projects with. So thank you very much for your time, and yeah, have a great day. Just a snazzy day. Peace.